actually happening? Because we had Goodstab and his travels, and then
Yeah, no, absolutely.
you'd have to work a way in for him to be coming back to meet this pastor.
No, I hear what you're saying, but
So
I'm
that
like,
was that's what you're saying. That's the author's job.
yeah. Not only was I about to say that, but like, now this is more like it. USA in 1912. Vampires, priests, and the blood-soaked Wild Wild West. Has someone been peeking at my Christmas list? According to the ITKs, the In the Knows, Stephen Graham Jones is one of the biggest names in literary horror today, and this is his opportunity to show us why. If my undies are still clean by the time I finish wading through this story of violence and vengeance, then I will be massively disappointed.
That was a great intro. I think we all want to know, were your undies clean? Pause this video right now. Go and read The Buffalo Hunter by
Stephen Graham Jones, and when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because we're going to tell you all about it. My name's Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library. And to answer your question, my undies are never clean.
So, what did you think of the title? Didn't think there's anything.
I think it could have benefited from a better title, in my opinion.
And what did you think of the book then?
Decent-ish. I had some major issues early on. Okay, I say major, but it's just like something that ruined the book for me, pretty much. Or like ruined the perfect execution. It could have had like, I just think if you need to start strong, like to have a strong, but all the strongest books that we've read, or in my opinion, have had a strong starts.
Oh, and you think the start was weak?
Not weak as a story, but weak like in terms of execution, in terms of the writer's execution of what the story is supposed to be. I think like there should have been some major fundamental changes to the book.
I disagree with you. No, I don't disagree with you. I actually think the ending was a letdown, not the beginning.
Fair enough.
That's what I think. But how many have you got?
I've got 5.
Oh, okay. I have 4, so you will go first.
No. Why are we in 2012? Why did Stephen feel the need to anchor a story in the present century and then illustrate the real story through cheap flashbacks? Why do we feel the need to connect eras? History is interesting enough to stand on its own. We don't need to link absolutely everything to the here and now. Nobody plays Assassin's Creed thinking, I can't wait till I get to be Desmond. You play Assassin's Creed so you can parkour around Renaissance Italy, pickpocket homeless people in pre-revolutionary Paris, hunt Jack the Ripper in the Victorian streets of old London town. The escape into the past is all part of the adventure. Yeah. Nobody is gonna object to reading a historical novel that's just set in the past. It's very, very, very successful.
I don't know why that was done. I think it was done so that we could read the diary, and the reason why they wanted to read the diary is so that things could be revealed to us. And I liked that aspect of it, but I didn't really like that. I had that problem with it as well.
I thought the title of the book could have been The Priest's Diary, something like that, and then it doesn't have to be an actual diary. What the hell?
Okay.
I think, ironically, don't take it so literally. Don't take literature so literally.
I have to admit, a story involving Native Americans is actually refreshing, not least because they're a forgotten people. Especially being in the UK, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind for us. We don't have Native Americans here. I don't think I've ever seen one in real life. Have you?
Definitely not.
If I was American, I think meeting a Native American would feel awkward. Like how I imagine a German might feel meeting a Jew. Disgust. I mean, we can joke about it now, but back in 1800 whatever, white settlers thought of natives as filthy, uncivilized barbarians, when in fact they were the real barbarians. The Jamestown settlers were literally resorted to eating their own leather belts and cannibalism because they could not feed themselves. It was Africans who brought over rice and the knowledge of how to grow it, saving them from starvation, and it was the Native Americans who taught them where to hunt, what to eat, and how to survive. And then what did the settlers do? They enslaved and killed the very people who helped them. So here's my question. Do you think that there's any guilt carried by Americans today because they are the descendants of those colonialists? Do you think there's any guilt, and do you think that there should be?
I think there probably is. There probably is a lot, to be fair, as well. You know, this whole concept of white guilt is a thing. So they have guilt for us and also guilt for the Native Americans.
But when you say white guilt, you make it seem like it's unfair.
No. It's just white guilt.
It's like, oh, I'm white, so I've got to be guilty. It's like they're hard done by. That's what it feels like.
Oh.
It's like not justified that they should be guilty.
I was like, okay, I see what you mean. No, they should definitely be guilty. What the hell? Who's gonna be there?
So wait,
just forget about everything.
So what you're saying is they should feel the guilt,
Yeah,
even though they had nothing to do with it.
Well, they have something to do with it. I'm not saying they perpetrated it upon the people, but they definitely benefit from it.
So if your grandfather did some heinous shit, would you feel guilty for it?
I would definitely feel some manner of generational guilt if it was like the oppression of an entire people for 400 years, like that our grandfather did, or wiped out an entire species that helped them.
So
if it's on that level, then yeah.
So feeling guilty is one thing, but should a person feel guilt?
I think they should feel some form of generational guilt. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if black people can feel generational trauma, then it's very fair for white people to feel generational guilt. If that's something you believe in. If it's something you believe in, then you should believe in generational guilt as well.
Okay, fair enough.
I like the juxtaposition between Arthur and Goodstab. It's very clear to see that these characters were designed to offset one another and give us, the reader, a more complete reading experience. The man of God on one side of the coin, and the depraved murderous butcher who drinks human blood to survive on the other. Not all poetry rhymes, and I did find that to be a very poetic literary device. So this is what, when I say, and by no means did when I say having small characters, this is why I believe in the power of having small characters, because
they're a small character.
Not small characters, sorry, a small cast of characters.
Yeah,
I don't know what I said.
That's what I didn't put it in my notes, but that's what I was going to say.
When you have a small cast, there's so much more meaning. There's so much more you could go into these. You can get inside them.
But yeah, no, this is, Richard Osman, take note, for God's sake. You don't have to flood your stories with ridiculous amount of characters and whatnot. But yeah,
I said 2 main characters is the perfect amount in my opinion. And
literally, I mean, you overdid it with Etsy, with the.
It was such a glaring over. It was so glaring overkill as well. Yeah, it was just it ruined your chance to start perfectly.
Do you think he thought he was cooking?
They always think they're cooking as well. That's the worst part. They always think they're cooking. It's just not necessary. We don't need like 2012. 2012, hardly the most exciting era of human history as well. It was supposed to be.
The book is definitely interesting, although I have to admit a little confusing, because there are 3 stories happening at once. I think it starts with a woman called Etsy. She's an academic, desperate to secure a publishing deal that finally gets her tenure. The story she tries to use for that is the tale of her great-great-great-grandfather, a pastor called Arthur, who becomes the confessor to a Native American man named Goodstab, who also happens to be a blood-sucking vampire. Now, I can't say I love the 3-story setup, because something that complicated naturally breeds confusion. But I do appreciate the ambition and the craft that went into it. I liked the diary element, kept us, the readers, in the dark, giving us a genuine reason to keep reading. Maybe it was a bit too convenient that a descendant of Arthur just happened to be the one to find and read the diary. Sure, but I suppose I can overlook that. What really worked for me were the first-person accounts from Goodstab. They were gruesome, emotional, and oddly heartfelt, and I actually learned things. What I'm still unsure about, though, is the use of the native, or should I say, Picani language. Every time I came across names like Dirty Faces, Black Horns, or Little Big Mouths, it kind of broke the immersion, and I'd find myself thinking, wait, what was that again? It just pulled me right out of the story. I get that the terminology was included for authenticity, but often authenticity is sacrificed for ease of reading. Like in films, sometimes an Asian character will speak in broken English, so the viewers don't have to read subtitles. In this case, constantly mentioning things like swift runners and medicine beavers felt a bit much, especially since we got no explanation and had to figure everything out from context. It felt a little rude, honestly. Not even a footnote to help.
Oh, yeah.
So where do you stand on that? Do you think the story could have worked without the specific animal names, or do you feel that they were necessary? Did you find it tricky to get your head around? And as a writer, do you think authenticity is more important, or should reader experience be king?
Reader experience should always be key, in my opinion. Even if that, I don't think that means being inaccurate, because you can be accurate without it taken away from the reader experience. But in terms of, like, you don't need to put every name of every, like, especially if they're not being explained. If there's no glossary in the book, there's no footnotes.
You can't just have some here and some there.
Why not?
It just feels like we're chopping and changing, flipping and flopping.
Well, I feel like if you do a few's okay. Because it's like, I can ignore it. If I really don't know where it is, I can just ignore it. But if it keeps coming back up.
So did you find yourself Did you think that about the book then? Do you have that?
I thought that to a degree, but again, I'm so trained at just ignoring things I don't understand. Because what's the point of obsessing over it if you don't get it? You
but
Google
if you was
it
the editor, would you have said, "Yeah, cut that out"?
Yeah, probably. I would have said that. And I liked your point
maybe
about
just doing too much as an author. Just doing too much.
Yeah, no, 100%. Sometimes, like, take the easy victories. You got to do the simple things well, as well.
Yeah.
I think you made a great point about she just randomly happened to find her great granddad's diary.
Yeah.
I honestly don't understand why it couldn't be It was no need. It forces us to suspend our disbelief earlier than we have to. Like, we don't have to do it. One, if she's not bloody in the book.
Yeah.
That's first one. Like, it's the first easy fix. But second is, it could have just been like a family heirloom or whatever. Why'd you have to just discover it?
Yeah.
It's just unnecessary.
But some of these things that authors do, and even in films, it's like you mentioned The Princess's Bride. No, you said the film this should be called The Princess's Diary.
Yeah, the priest's diary, whatever it is.
But in the film The Princess's Bride, I don't know if you remember that the whole film was actually a granddad reading the book to the niece.
He was.
And it was just like, why? Why would you ever need to do that?
We don't
ever
care about the granddad or the boy.
Sometimes the film would stop and then have the dialogue between them two. And
listen, I thought that was interesting. I don't think the movie suffered for it because then you also have that kind of pacing. You feel like you want to get back to the story, which means it's a good story.
And you could probably cut, scenes with that as well.
Absolutely. So I feel like that kind of did do the movie a service, especially because it's on screen. People like kids or whatever, and it's like a wholesome moment. Granddad read to his kid. When it's reading, it's different. You don't really get that feeling of, oh, I love this character who's only in the flash forward. You don't really care. It's like I'm playing Assassin's Creed or whatever. The whole game is actually about Desmond, but I don't care about Desmond at all.
I never want to see that character again.
If I never see him again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah.
So I think on screen, when it's a movie, The Princess Bride was an example of when it was done well, in my opinion. But still, if you cut that out, I'm not going to cry that, where's the kid and the grand? No.
Fair enough.
I like that Jones took the opportunity to teach us something, especially since this is meant to be a historical novel. Personally, I knew very little about the Blackfoot Nation, how much territory they had at their height, which is around 150,000 square miles.
That means nothing to me.
Fair enough. This goes back to the point I made earlier. History is so vast and so rich that it could stand on its own. We don't need to cheapen a historical story with flashbacks and flash forwards. And honestly, it was such an early error that the author made, in my opinion, and it was just like you didn't really stand a chance. You worked it up from so early. Because when I read the blurb, I was like, well, this sounds good. Finally, it's a historical novel. It's going to be set in history. No flashbacks, no flash forwards. It seemed like he just couldn't resist.
You have to add a flashback.
Couldn't resist.
It's the rules.
He could not. He tried not to. He tried. Then at the end, he was like,
I think this is a horror story that pretty much anybody could read or enjoy. Maybe enjoy isn't the right word, but you'll definitely be entertained. Well, maybe entertained isn't quite the right word either, but you won't be bored. There's plenty of gruesome action with good stab. The Native American vampire, ripping out necks of the settlers and gorging on their blood. I especially like that this is a historical fiction, not just pure horror. So we're not only being entertained, we're actually learning something along the way. I love historical fiction. Learning while reading is such a bonus. For example, I always thought that the white settlers killed the buffalo deliberately to starve the Native Americans, but it turns out it was capitalism. A buffalo hide in 1870 went for about $3, which is roughly $75 today. The settlers would kill hundreds of buffalo a day, cut out their tongues, skin them, and then leave the meat to rot. Goodstab points out that the meat wasted in just one day could have fed an entire tribe for the winter. Now, depending on your sources, you'll see some accounts suggesting that there was a deliberate effort to exterminate the buffalo to starve the Native Americans, which I tend to believe. But in this book, it seems that the author is framing it differently. The displacement and starvation of Native Americans were secondary effects of the settlers' actions, not the primary goal. Did you notice that from the book? And would that be a consideration for you as an author of a fiction book to avoid demonizing the ancestors of your target audience?
That's a good question, actually. That's a very good question. And I think you probably would have to consider that, because, Americans feel strongly about the founding fathers. It's not just like, we understand it was those are like the guys. They,
Constitution.
They literally set up America. And
Allegedly.
And a lot of people.
Apparently, the Constitution's copied from the Native Americans.
Oh, is it?
Apparently, Native Americans have a document that have pretty much the same sort of information. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm gonna get cancelled.
Yeah, you definitely done.
But yeah, no, I read about
one.
this a while ago. Actually, it just came up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've never heard that, but I'm gonna have to do some more research about that now. But yeah, no, it's even when you went back to saying stuff about, you know, should people carry kind of generational guilt? There's a lot of people that were like, yeah, I had good ancestors, you didn't, bro. That's why mine conquered yours, sort of thing. I've literally seen that. He was like, it's your fault for being bad at war, things like that.
Well, he's not wrong, is he?
He's not wrong, but
a bit harsh, tone deaf.
Yeah, tone deaf is probably, and it's just like
insensitive,
lacks empathy, might not be a human being, but
maybe he's a narcissist.
Which is like the worst thing you can be in today's day and age.
Yeah, but because it's recent history, it's not recent history, but it's recent compared to, I don't know if recent's the right word.
They have a national holiday for that though, for like genocide and entire people taking over the land, conquering.
Yeah, they have reparations as well.
Entire holiday for that, where they just celebrate it.
You say like that's too much.
Yeah, but it's weird because Native Americans are obviously still there, so like they're
compared
celebrating.
To what it was.
No, obviously.
So
but
what they said, I might be butchering this. I don't know if it's the buffalo or is it Indians. Not to say that they're both beasts, but they said
nobody thought that until you said it.
I think they said before the settlers came, there was 30 million of them, and it went down. No, it was the buffalo. There was 30 million buffalo before they came, and by the end of whatever, they were gone down to 20,000 or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
So they were smoking them.
Slaughtering them in droves.
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane. Even the way they called them Indians, bro. They didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
Time to get rid of them.
You know what? I nearly said that, and then I remembered and I had to like change some things because it's, you know...
What, because he's about to say something politically hot or what?
Yeah, no, I mean the Indians. You know, calling them Indians is incorrect.
Yeah, no, it is.
Which is weird. But Native Americans is definitely not the right word either.
Indigenous people, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, indigenous. What does that mean?
Means you're from where you are, which I understand doesn't really have a meaning.
Which is why I said
everyone's got to be migrants from somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't. You know, they're just a native for that period of time.
Native for long enough.
But they were there for 20,000 years. Apparently,
before
I heard about. I
didn't hear 20,000. I heard thousands.
Yeah, they say up to 20,000 years.
That's insane, isn't it?
Before the white people come and just deal with them in a couple of.
Can you imagine? America, a long way off 20,000 years old. You know.
Well, this is why. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is why people say that America's the greatest country in the world, and it's just ridiculous to even say that purely because America was built on the blood of slaves, the blood of people. Is built on genocide. It's just built on so much blood. To call it the greatest place in the world, it's just a disservice to all the people who were murdered, raped.
All right, let me ask you a question. If America is not the greatest country in the world, and it's laughable, disrespectful, asinine even, to call it the greatest country in the world, why do so many people want to go there?
I don't know what if and why so many people want to go there. The reason why I say it can't be the greatest place in the world is because something that's great is something that has built off its own back. It's built from something. If you go and steal from everybody, you can't call yourself great. You might be the most powerful right now.
I mean, you're certainly the greatest thief at the very least. At the bare minimum, you're certainly.
You can say that, but that's not the way they talk about it. They talk about it's like this place that built itself out of nothing, and it just.
I know what you mean. That's definitely the energy they have when they talk. But for example, I personally believe anyone who has anything had to steal from somebody somewhere along the way. If you have lots of anything,
I don't know. If you've built a business and you've made a service, look at China, right? For example, China for many years it made cheap shit that apparently nobody ever wanted, and it sold all the way around the world, and now everybody wants to buy stuff from China or whatever. China's built literally from nothing. It was a place where a lot of poverty was, but now they've built to literally either the richest or the second richest country in the world. Whereas America literally stole from everywhere and every single year for the last 100 years.
No one's ever going to dispute that because it's true. But
so I'm just saying there's two differences. One,
I think China had slaves. I think China committed genocides. I think China wiped people out.
I'm not saying they didn't, but I'm saying that they have literally industrialized and made something of their country, and they didn't simply just steal, because that's what America did. They literally enslaved Africans to turn that place into some of the richest place, or one of the richest places. Without that, America would be nothing. It's
Yeah,
simple
no,
as-
of course,
simple as
absolutely.
that.
But I don't know. I don't think America's the greatest country in the world. But at the same time, I do think they were at least great at stealing and robbing and killing and enslaving. So you have to be good at something to make huge amounts of wealth.
I don't know. Maybe being better than everybody else.
And I think Britain did the same thing. And
Well,
Britain
yeah, of course.
actually legislatively called ourselves great. Like, we're the
the
only
rules.
ones who have it in the name, Great Britain. And all it was good at was conquering.
Is it my turn?
You get to call yourself what you want when you're good at conquering, though, innit? Because you write all the history books. But yeah, no, it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the greatest country in the world, by the way, just out of interest, in your opinion? Or China?
I don't know. The greatest country.
They're the ones that everyone's scared of at the
You have
moment.
to understand. Well, people still try and say America is the most powerful military, and I don't understand how that could possibly be when America's lost every single war that they've been in since World War II.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how it
Against
works. And
very, very small nations that have no right to be winning wars against the USA.
So, I don't know if they. I don't know if there is a single greatest country. I don't know. I think there are great countries, and they all seem to have nuclear weapons. I don't know.
Everyone wants
If
nukes
you want
now.
to know where the best place to live is, I don't know if you would say America's the best place to live. I don't know if you'd say Russia's the best place to live. I don't know
They
if
say
you'd say Dubai.
they say Scandinavia has the highest quality of life. Apparently,
Yeah,
I don't
so
know.
I don't know
But
what
I hear a lot of
constitutes the
Sweden.
greatest country, but yeah,
Fair enough.
I don't know.
Well, Tokyo apparently has the highest average IQ, so that must count for something. It must be doing something right over there. Japan, sorry, I don't know why I said Tokyo. Confession is a great tool for exposition. A challenge that all writers face is how to give expositional info without the author feeling like they're being narrated at. A character wishing to confess his sins is a great way to mask that end goal, especially because guilt is a powerful force and we can all relate to that feeling of guilt forcing its way out of the body. Or those of us that have shame can relate to it anyway. Well, I knew Elijah was going to shake his head and be like, nah. It was the easiest prediction of my life. But I thought it was a great way to give us expositional info about good stuff, about his life, about the murders he's committed, etc. He's talking to a priest. You know, he's relaying his story to a priest. I thought that was a great way to get us inside of his life without feeling like we're being narrated.
But how do we get the reader to have that information without it being in a diary? Because you didn't like the diary form.
No, but he could have been just talking to the pastor.
Yeah, but how would you cut that between the stories that's actually happening? Because we had Goodstab and his travels, and then
Yeah, no, absolutely.
you'd
but-
have to work a way in for him to be coming back to meet this pastor.
No, I hear what you're saying, but
So
I'm,
that
like,
was that's what you're saying. That's the author's job.
yeah. Not only was I about to say that, but like
But that's the way
my
he did
version,
it.
my version of the story would have been very, very different to his version of the story anyway. Like if I'm gonna write a historical novel about vampires or whatever, it's not gonna be. I'm not gonna use the. I think it was a good idea for him to have a priest, but like I wouldn't have the priest. I wouldn't have the priest's great granddaughter. Like that whole side of it wouldn't be in it. You'd be focusing more on like the adventure part of the story, the vampire killing people.
I
Part of the
also
story.
want to say that I thought this was quite an original idea to highlight the Native Americans. Native Americans and then the vampires on top of it, you know.
Yeah,
that
there was
just- it
definitely a lot going on.
meshing
There was
of-
definitely a lot going on.
You know, I don't want to say it takes genius, but it's it was original. It was original.
Honestly, it reminded me a little bit of Sinners. I don't know if you saw the movie Sinners.
No.
With Michael B. Jordan. 1930s vampires in America. I'm surprised you didn't hear anything about it. It was a very famous movie that came out last year or early this year, I
I
think.
don't watch films.
Fair enough, but I'm sure you must have heard of it at least.
No.
I know you watch
Actually,
TV.
no, I haven't even heard of it. I didn't.
Fair enough, but
And I like Michael B. Jordan.
honestly, who
He
doesn't?
doesn't. Yeah, I don't know.
But who? What was I saying? Yeah,
You
it's
lost the trailer of thought just
I
thinking
did,
about
yeah.
Boy, don't let him round your girl.
I think.
Let me go.
Yeah, go on. I had so much to say, and I said none of it.
I like the fact that the person supposed to be a man of God ended up being complicit in something as heinous as a genocide. Honestly, I'm convinced that some of the most morally corrupt, twisted, and downright nasty people you will ever meet are in the church. Which, funnily enough, is the reason why I only date church girls. I like them nasty, sick, twisted. Just getting fired up thinking about it. So as we know, Arthur Bacane is responsible for a massacre that took place. He whispered into the ear of the general who actually decided not to kill Heavy Runner. Heavy Runner, the Native American chief, had documentation proving he was a friend of the whites. But Arthur, cold, tired and hungry, just wanted to get back to camp where his supper was waiting. He didn't want to wait around for paperwork verification. I can't do that, the colonel said, to which an impatient Arthur Bacane starts quoting Bible scripture. For does the Bible not say, Thou madest him have dominion over the worlds, the works of thy hands? In other words, you're doing the Lord's work. Under the command of Major Eugene Baker, U.S. Army troops attacked the sleeping camp of Picanee Chief Heavy Runner, killing almost 200 people, mostly women, children, and the elderly. Almost all the able-bodied men were out hunting. Following the brutal slaughter, the soldiers burned the teepees and took the Indians' horses, making it nearly impossible for the survivors to survive the winter. I just have one issue. If this is a revenge story, why not go after the colonel who pulled the trigger? Why are you going after a man who didn't kill anybody? He didn't fire a single shot. Look, don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that Arthur Bacane was undeserving of punishment. But what I am saying is that if writing is supposed to be fantastical, why not write the ultimate revenge story? And surely going after the big bad is what we all want to see. So why, oh why, was Arthur Bacane the main target? What do you think about that?
Again, he wouldn't have been in the story if I had written it. So these would be total non-issues. But
yeah,
it's a good question because it's unsatisfying as a revenge story, isn't it? Because
you
don't feel like he's to blame necessarily.
He
want to go after the colonel is who you want. That's the big prize at the end of the rainbow.
And what he did to Arthur as well, turning him to a dirty face, and for hundreds of years, did the punishment fit the crime?
I mean, it's genocide. It's tough, isn't it?
But did he commit genocide though?
He was definitely complicit in genocide.
And Arthur didn't tell him to kill everybody. He might have told him to shoot this one man.
Yes, he's complicit in genocide at the very
complicit.
least. Yeah, he's complicit in genocide at the very least. I don't know what the punishment of genocide should be because it's tough that people who commit genocide.
Complicit is a very general word, though. If you were there, you were complicit. Even if you didn't try to stop anybody, I think there are probably
varying degrees of complicity.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But when we say, he was complicit in genocide, we just lump him in there. And I don't know if we...
So you don't think it does his crimes justice to say he was complicit? You think it deserves a greater word? Or?
No, I was saying that he's complicit in genocide is strong.
Oh, okay.
He was complicit in a murder? Because, I mean, even if you tell me to go and kill someone and I kill somebody, are you complicit in murder?
If I tell you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
legally,
really,
if I give you the gun.
If you give me the gun, but you didn't give him the gun, if you say do it,
Would you get off on that and be like, I was coerced? No, I don't know.
No,
they would
the
be like,
gunman wouldn't get off, but I want to
know
if you would get off. By you saying, I think you should kill that person. Just because you say that. We all say shit all
Oh, yeah, you probably would, to be fair. You might do.
So to say he's complicit in genocide, I don't know. I've still got one more.
Me too. There are a lot of powerful, important themes in this book. Guilt, the benefit of confession, generational violence, sin, redemption. These kinds of moving themes are the difference between a book and literature for me. Shame Jones ruined it by making all the good bits a cheap flashback. This is a historical book, Jones. If you tie it all up into the future, then I will remember that everything works out in the end and that there are no stakes in the book anymore. So when you just know it's tying up in the future, and I know this is probably true for all historical books as well, like you read World War II, you know who's going to win sort of thing. But the point of reading, I always say this, the point of reading is an escape, and I should forget that everything's going to be fine in the end, and I'm still going to be going to work tomorrow.
So all right, so how would you end the book then?
Again, it would have been a much different book if I'd written it. I suppose for the book that he picked...
It's got to be a torture scene. With the colonel.
I personally think it would have been a revenge. It would literally have been like Django Unchained for me, though. But a revenge story, he kills the colonel at the end
Saves
or whatever.
the girl.
Maybe he saves the girl, maybe you don't. Maybe you could leave it open-ended. I think that's probably one thing Django Unchained missed out on. They have the ending doesn't have any suspense anymore, and you just feel almost oversatisfied. But yeah, it would just been a completely different book if I wrote it. It wouldn't have been like this kind of weird diary thing. Half the, premise of the book would be gone because there'd be no priest, there'd be no daughter from the future, there'd be none of that. It would be a balls to the wall revenge stories like Wild Wild West Jason Bourne, Wild Wild West John Wick.
It was a bit like that as well sometimes.
But does that not sound like you want to watch it? Wild Wild West John Wick.
And then, of course, the ending. The book ends with Etsy, who's a descendant of Arthur Boccaro. In short, after some deliberation, she decides to sedate him and dismember him. I mean, that's hardly believable at all. Yeah. I think most people find it uncomfortable to gut a dead animal, much less to sever the head of a live and wriggling animal. Not to mention an undead human turned animal, which also happens to be the long-lost ancestor. So I thought the ending went a bit left. And it left me with more questions. Why did Goodstab drop Arthur to Etsy in the first place? Why did he stalk her and make her think that she was insane a couple hands beforehand? It was just weird and confusing, and I want some answers. What did you think of the ending? Do you co-sign the direction? You kind of already answered that anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you don't. Yeah,
I didn't even co-sign her being in the book whatsoever.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some good things to the book, but it was just, I don't know, maybe the author just went a bit crazy with his ideas. Maybe could have cut some of the things down, honed in on it. And the book was too long as well. It was about 15 hours. It didn't need to be.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, maybe if we'd cut some of those things out, would have got some time back. Let's get to the real reason why we're here. Would you recommend the book? And what would you rate it out of 5?
I'd probably recommend it. I would give it a 2 as well. I'd give it a strong 2.
That's low.
You think that's low?
I thought...
You're going to say 3 though, so it can't be low.
I might have gone...
Oh, don't lie. Don't lie. You're going to say 3.
No, okay. I think it could easily be a 4 if it cut out... It could easily be a 4. Easily if it cut out the 3 timelines. It didn't need that. But the actual good stab part, I thought that was very, very good. Like the good stuff. If you had a good stab part by itself, I think that could be a 4. Easy.
I think one character being worth 2 points is quite something.
What?
Does that make sense? One character turning the book from a 0 to a 2 out of 5 is quite something. That's good. That means he's a very good character. Character should be worth more than 2.
It wasn't just the character. So it was the character. The character. It was the storyline. It was a native American hybrid vampire story. I think that's a fantastic idea. It's a historical. We learned some things. We felt things. I thought it was very, very good. It's weird that putting more into the book has ruined it. So the Etsy story, I think, ruined it. The priest and the diary, I didn't hate it. I thought that was okay. I think that could have been 4, but the ending ruined it, and Etsy ruined it. So that's brought it down to a 3, as you said.
So I was right.
Well, you was right, but for the wrong reasons. Because this book should have been a 4. It should have been a 4.
Well, you didn't ask me what it should have been. You asked me what it was. So yeah, no.
But I think 2 is hard.
I reiterate 1. You just got it docked a point for being pedantic. No, look, I thought there was some strong themes like I did. Maybe 2 is harsh. Maybe you're right. I'd be willing to move,
2
perhaps.
I can understand why you're saying 2, but I'm just saying the book deserves to be...
Feels like I say 2 every single week regardless, though. I feel like I say 2 every single...
You do.
Fair enough. I'll say 3. I think 3 is probably fair as well.
Let me end with my quote of the day.
And go for it.
Quote of the day. The smallest deed is better than the greatest intention.
It's alright.
What do you mean it's alright?
It's alright.
It is, that's good.
It's
That's
not
really
bad.
good. No.
It's not bad.
It's not
fine.
alright. It's better than you.
No, it's not even better than my one. It's better than you as a human. No, it's good. It's decent.
It is good.
I don't know if it's true.
The smallest deed is
I don't know
better
if
than
it's,
the
I don't know
greatest
if it's true.
You don't know if it's true?
I don't know. I know small deeds can be better than great intentions, but the smallest deed, the smallest
deed,
one,
you actually did something. You can intend. I intend.
No, I understand the premise
to
of
make you an
that.
honest man.
I understand. I understand the premise of that. I just don't know if I agree. The smallest deed.
You don't think so?
It's not about whether the premise is true or not. It's about volume. That's what it's about. When you
But
say
you
the
just said you don't
smallest,
think the promise is true. You just said you don't think.
I don't think the premise of saying the smallest deed. I understand what the thing is. What the quote is actually saying is that small deeds can be better than great intentions, which I agree with.
All right.
But
Let's
the
say-
smallest
let's say
deed.
The smallest deed. Let's go small. Like for example, handing somebody a tissue when in need.
That's
Is that
not the smallest. That's not even nearly the
you
smallest.
don't think that's the smallest? All right, give
That's
me an
not even
example
nearly
of
the
a smaller
smallest.
deed.
The smallest deed you
Say
won't
thank
notice because
you.
it's so small.
Nah.
You won't notice because it's that small.
All right, but a small deed like handing someone a tissue when they're in need is
Yeah.
greater than intending to gift them £1 million but never doing it. Because one, you have something you need. The other one, you didn't even get anything. Doesn't matter what the intentions were.
Well, no. I understand the premise of that question, but first of
So
all,
we
that's
agree?
like no, we don't, because it's like saying you might still get it.
No,
like
no,
the
no,
intention.
no. Intention. We're talking about intentions. Intentions is not action.
Well, intentions isn't always action.
No. An intention is not an action.
Well, intentions
can come with actions.
Yeah, intentions
but we're not
precede
talking
actions.
about actions. We're talking about the intention.
No, but you're saying you're not gonna get anything, so we
I'm
are
not
talking about the
saying-
action or the lack thereof.
Well, it is a lack of.
Why is it a
action.
lack thereof?
Because we're talking about intention. We're
Yeah,
not talking
but-
about. I understand that intentions come with actions. I understand that sometimes.
But yeah,
But we're
exactly.
not talking about the actions. We're talking about intention.
We're talking about the times when they don't. So we are talking about actions. Because you said if they sometimes come with actions, sometimes they must not. We're talking about one of those instances.
No, we're not. We're not talking about
Yeah,
any of
you
those
literally
incidents.
just said.
We're just talking about the
We're
intention.
talking about.
We're
But
not
you're
talking
talking about the intention when the action does not come. That's what you're talking about.
We're not worried about whether it comes or not. As soon as there's an intention, that's where it stops. We're not focusing.
Yeah, but you're saying we're not focusing whether they are or not, but we are, because you said it's better than receiving nothing. So you must know what the guy received at the end of the day to say that.
No, I'm simply saying that receiving a deed is better than intention because intention is an action. Intention is just what.
So what you're saying
wants
is
to do.
only receiving is better than someone only having an intention.
Yeah,
But that's not the quote though.
that is the quote.
No, it's not.
The smallest deed is better than the greatest intention.
I remember what you said.
That is literally talking about the intention.
Well, he's talking about the intention, but it's not talking about necessarily only the intention.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't say only there.
intention doesn't matter.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Greatest intention.
Nah, I disagree. I think the smallest deed is so small you would not notice it.
But if you did,
No, but you wouldn't because it's too small.
but it doesn't matter. It's still better.
Huh?
It's still better.
Not necessarily.
Doesn't matter if you notice it or not, it's still better.
Intentions can be quite comforting, which gives them emotional value.
You could not notice the pound that I put in your pocket, but when you get into Asda and you need a trolley.
First of all, who's using
Bosh.
trolleys that you have to pay for?
Bosh.
First of all. That's nonsense. But no, honestly, I think intentions matter, you know.
No one
And
said they didn't.
no one saying you said they did. No
I
one said
never said
anyone
that
said
you
they
said
did.
that.
Nobody said anybody said they didn't.
I agree,
But
intentions do
no,
matter.
I'm saying intentions do matter, and if they matter, that gives them value. And if they have value, then their value can exceed the value of a very, 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 very small deed. It's possible. Therefore, that quote is incorrect.
No.
Why not?
Intentions does have value, but intention's never going to have as much value as an action.
Why not?
Because an intention isn't real.
Well, it speaks to what's in your heart, I suppose, which again has value. And if it has value, it can exceed something else with value.
I don't know if it can exceed something else with
Especially
value.
if the values of these
But I
said
don't know
things
if
are
it
all
can-
arbitrary and made up, which they are. Like, if I hand you a tissue, what's the value of that? How much is that worth? You don't know. It's made up in your head, isn't it?
Well, I mean, under the capitalist society that we're in, a tissue has some value.
Right,
A
it's
monetary
got some monetary value, like this tissue here. It's got worth less than one that I didn't wipe my nose with, I suppose. But it's like, is that what we're going on? Monetary value? Because then obviously, you know, a tissue's always gonna, it's a thing, isn't it? So it's gonna have monetary value, whereas intention doesn't have monetary value, but it has value. And it not being monetary value actually probably means it's worth more than it would be.
Okay, I think that in some cases that an intention can be bigger or greater than the smallest deed.
Yes, so that quote's incorrect.
Alright, cool. So the exception doesn't disprove the rule.
So what are you saying?
So that means that's the exception.
What said who?
Well, I just said in some cases.
Right, you said.
Yeah, but you just agreed.
Yeah, no,
You
I
did
agree. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
In some
in
cases.
some cases. So
And in
that's
some
the
cases
exception.
it might not be bigger.
Well,
So
in some,
what's
I
the-
said in some small cases, the exception does not prove the rule.
Okay, you lost me there. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, in some cases, the intention can be greater than the smallest deed.
Right, and in some cases, the deed
But in most
can be
cases,
great.
the
Okay,
small deed-
see, this is where we get to who
In
said
most
most.
cases.
Now you brought in most, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Well,
who
I
said
did
that.
say in some small.
Yeah, so you basically said all of this.
Yeah,
and so
I'm
now you're
my
saying this is
opinion.
right because I
The
said something
exception.
earlier that
well,
you
one of
agreed
them
with.
have to be the exception.
Huh?
One of them have to be the exception.
Said who? Do you see what I'm saying?
That's what
Said
exception
who?
is.
Right, but there doesn't have to be an exception. Exception is not something that exists in perpetuity. It can exist, for sure.
The
But
exception always exists.
the exception only exists if there's a rule. And no one's saying there's a rule.
Well, the rule is
You're saying the rule
the
is.
quote is the rule.
Huh?
The quote is the rule. Something has to be rule and something has to be the exception.
No, but that's wrong though. So it can't be a rule. If
So
it's
what
wrong.
you say in the quote's exception?
I'm saying the quote's nonsense. The smallest deed. The smallest deed is greater than the largest intention. So you're telling me if I win the lottery, I win 11 million pounds and I intended to give you half of it and I get hit by a bus and die.
Yeah.
That is smaller. That means less to you than someone putting one rice grain in your pocket while you're sleeping. Because that's a small deed. That's giving you food. You need food to survive.
So wait. Just to be clear, what you're saying is you don't like rice.
I don't know how you got that. Who doesn't like rice? Who doesn't like rice? But that's what I'm saying. That's the level that we're like. I understand. Cool, you didn't get the £500,000, let's say, but it's just like that means a lot to me that somebody was gonna give me £500,000 and was like, it was just a stroke of bad luck that they didn't.
A rice in hand is worth $1 million in the bush.
That's blasphemous.
That's a better quote.
It's actually a better one that you had. We spent far too long on this.
You spent far too long.
I blame you.
I didn't spend enough time on it.
You should have spent more time on the drawing board for your quotes. Now I know why you never bring any.
You're just a hater because I got a better quote than you.
Well, I agree with the first part of that statement.
Till next time.
Till next time.